Hi, and welcome to whatever this channel is about. So it's approximately my 2-year anniversary from the beginning of my medical drama. I figured I'd do a little recap for people who haven't seen these videos, even though most of you probably have seen my videos and you're aware of what's going on with me. Spoilers, if you read the title of the video, it kind of gives you a heads up what's going to happen. But 2 years ago was kind of in the middle, about in the middle of me doing a video a day for a year. It's 2021, and you can find those. I'll probably give links as I reference videos as they happened. But I'm going to just give the 10,000 view overview, where each video actually goes into more details what happened. In a nutshell, I went to the ER with sepsis. It was a Sunday. It was around 6 p.m. I went in, and I had an abscess in a very delicate place you can't see. Well, the first thing is the doctor saw it, and it's the first time I've ever seen a doctor see this wound and audibly gasp, which an ER doctor being surprised by something is not something you want to know or hear. Midnight that day, I had surgery because I would have died. And that was the first stage of this whole drama. I was in the hospital for a week, I was in the ICU for a while. 2 months later, they said, okay, you're fine. The wound's all healed up. You're good to go. Next day, back in the ER. Same wound, same issue. I didn't have sepsis this time, but otherwise, very similar to the previous experience. Doctors do make mistakes, or nurses make mistakes. I was actually not in the hospital that long. It was a weekday, I believe I went in, and then I think it was a Thursday. They actually kept me overnight, and they didn't do surgery until the next morning. So it wasn't as serious, even though it was the same location, same abscess, same merry-go-round. And they actually then kicked me out that morning. And the main reason they've been kicking me out of the hospital is because COVID cases were rising, and it was safer for me to not be in the hospital than to be in the hospital. Another 2 months go by, and during all this time, I've been sick, is the best way to describe it. Every other week, I was getting my blood checked, and my white blood counts, they're supposed to be between 4,000 and 10,000, so between 4 and 10 is the normal human range. So for the 6 months of this whole process, they were sitting at 50, meaning my body was creating white blood cells like crazy to fight something. Again, so now back January, they give me like an okay saying you're all good, but during all this time, my white blood cells are like, there's an infection in my body. So they did another surgery, and they verified that time that no, there's no issue at the wound. The wound is perfectly fine, and they're about to write me off. They're like, you're all healthy, except for the fact that your body's fighting an infection that we can't find. They didn't care to find it. The infectious disease doctor said, hey, go to an oncologist and have them check you out. So I did that. And the oncologist is like, well, we did some tests and we can't figure out anything. I'm like, well, do you have more tests you can do? They're like, well, we could do more tests, or we could just wait and see what happens. I'm like, I've been going through 6 months of being sick. Is this covered by insurance? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do the tests. So they did a bone marrow aspiration, and wouldn't you know it, they discovered I had cancer. I had leukemia, CMML. I'll link to the video because it's chronic something leukemia. I'll probably text will say what actually it is. It's very rare. Extremely rare. It's like lottery rare. Only, I think, 100 people in my age group, which is basically under 70, in the U.S., in a year, get this. It's 1,000 people in the U.S. a year, but they're all over 70. So really rare. And the diagnosis is, you've got a year and a half to live. That's the diagnosis. Well, guess what? It's a year and a half. Actually, it's more than a year and a half. Because that year and a half is without treatment, is how long you've got to live. I was with the hospital I was with, and like, yeah, we can't treat you. So I went to a specialty place, Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, also called now Fred Hutchinson Cancer Alliance. And they did treat me, which it was an experimental treatment. Oh, experimental in quotes. It had worked. And so all that stuff I just talked about actually is in my year-a-day videos, which I'll try to give the links where they are. And even my diagnosis was part of the year-a-day videos. And then I stopped making videos because, well, cancer. They did treat me. It was a total body radiation. They injected radioactive elements into me. I was radioactive for 3 days. Like anything I touched, no one else was allowed to touch. It was just, that's the way it was. So I had to wear gloves to touch anything. Yeah, that was fun. There was even, like, they used a Geiger counter to verify how radioactive I was, to make sure that all my bone marrow was killed. And then I got stem cells from my brother. He was a good match. And so now my bone marrow is all from stem cells from him. And that was the treatment. And that's why I'm still alive. It's been a long year recovering. And I have to say, I'm not someone who has regrets. But I've been watching a lot of YouTubers come out mentioning that they have cancer. And they're still kind of making some videos. And I kind of feel like that I probably should have made more videos during this process, because there's something cathartic about watching other people also go through these experiences. So it would have been good to share what I had gone through, I feel, while it was happening. So I might talk more about those individual experiences. Like I mentioned, the prednisone video was last week, or other specific experiences. But I don't really want to be known as the cancer guy. I like to be the guy who complains about memes guy. I'm going to do more of that. Anyway, that's my whole medical issue. Currently it's remission, as far as I know. I mean, the next time they do a bone marrow aspiration double check is a year from now. But things are looking positive. Keep fingers crossed. That's where I'm at. Anyway, that's just a quick overview of what all went on. Definitely, if you've got questions or want to know specific information about this, each one of those things has its own little story. So I can go into details. Just write in the comments. And have a good one. Thanks.